Did you know that your obedience to God will not only change your life, but an entire generation? My name is Yasmin, and I am so excited to welcome you into service today. Before we head into the message and worship, we're actually going to be talking about some of our favorite fall movies. So let's kick it off to HSM News. Welcome, everyone. My name is Yasmin.
And my name is Nick.
And welcome to
HSM News.
We are your hosts to deliver the craziest challenges, news, and tea weekly. And this week, we're going to be sharing 6 of our favorite fall classic movies. And Nick, and we're in November now, so what does November entail?
Yo, November, we've made it. San Diego, Southern California, we hit 60s in the weather. Sweaters are coming out, beanies are coming out, pumpkin spice latte. You don't have to be ashamed no more. You can drink those drinks and be happy.
The first movie that we are going to recommend is E.T. This movie came out in the 80s when Nick was born because he's that old. But it is about an alien who meets his best friend because he comes down to Earth and they go through multiple adventures together. But it is a classic fall movie.
That's awesome. E.T., the 80s, all right? You don't even know about the 80s, okay? So you can't say nothing, all right? Dang. All right, the second movie is known as Fantastic Mr. Fox. And it's a movie about a fox who steals food from a farmer.
Yeah, that sounds like an interesting movie. I'm gonna have to watch it this fall season.
I could totally see like the setting being on a farm with lots of leaves everywhere.
And animals.
And animals, yeah. I mean, what's fall weather without smelling fresh cow manure?
Yeah. Well, the next movie that we are going to be recommending is Halloween Town, and you can find this movie on Disney Plus. And if you're someone who likes to watch like a series of movies, Halloween Town has I think 4 movies or 3 movies, and they are some of my favorite Halloween time fall movies. It's about a girl who finds out that her grandma is a witch, and her grandma picks up her and her siblings, and they go on an adventure to Halloween Town. So I recommend it, but if you're kind of a scaredy cat, there's viewer discretion advised. It's a little scary. It's like Disney scary, so it's not super scary, but just a fair warning.
Sounds terrifying. Yasmin, the next movie that's been sworn to be one of the top fall movies is the movie Casper, okay? It's filled with laughter. It's filled with tears. It's filled with cuteness. Come on.
Oh, Nick, there is a line in this movie that gets me every single time. And guys, once you watch this, you're going to understand why you're going to cry, because I cry talking about it. But they're let's just say something happens and he says this one line. He's like, "Can I keep you?" And it gets me every time. I just want to cry my eyes out because it's just this movie has every type of genre in one movie. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, the last movie that I'm going to recommend is A Nightmare Before Christmas. And some of you guys have probably heard of this movie because of the ride at Disneyland, but it is a classic fall movie because it kind of is in between Halloween and Christmas, and it is a claymation movie. So I believe you can find this on Disney Plus, so hopefully you like it.
Yeah, that's great, Yasmin. I mean, I can't not help but think of the song, "This is Christmas, fa la la."
You don't even know this?
I do know this. Listen, we're not
going to get in
argue.
conflict right now.
Okay. The best fall movie, Harry Potter series. It's the Harry Potter series. It is the cream of the crop when it comes to fall movies.
Okay, Nick, I have a confession, and many of you might just like this video after I confess this, but I have only seen 2 of the Harry Potter movies because they kind of scare me, and I know I just need to get over it and watch them because every time everyone talks about oh, I'm a Hufflepuff or I'm a Slytherin, I feel all left out. So I think it's time for me to watch it this fall season.
You need to do your homework on that.
Yeah, I need to do my
The third
homework.
one, if you guys want to know which one's the best episode, in my opinion, is the third one.
The third movie?
Yeah, Prisoner of Azkaban.
All right, I'm going to have to watch it.
Good.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's HSM News, and we'll see you next week on HSM News.
Our Savage series highlights 3 amazing stories of 3 amazing people in the Bible. And each one of them had, you guessed it, 3 things in common. The first thing is that they followed God. The second thing is that they were human, just like you and me. But the third thing is that when they faced adversity, when they faced a challenge, they pushed past their hesitation in order to do everything that God meant them to do. Where other people might have given up, they reached past their fears, past their pain, past their doubts, way deep down inside, and they pulled out that God card. And that God card allowed them to change history. In week 3, we are going to meet probably the most savage woman in the Bible. So let's go.
The guy's name was Chuck Yeager. Back in the 1940s, people were trying to break the speed of sound. Now, that's pretty fast if we're gonna be honest. And all these countries were racing, LOL racing, literally to break the speed of sound, and they do it via a plane. So many people wanted to do this, but what would happen is as you're reaching this crazy speed, the velocity comes and gets you, the resistance, and ultimately what happens is that your plane will take a nosedive as for some reason, as the waves of the really air that you're trying to go against, it puts you into a nosedive. But not only that, a lot of people, a lot of countries actually just closed down their program after planes would implode because of the pressure of the air as they're trying to break this speed of sound. So with all that said, Chuck Yeager is there, maybe willing to do it.
Chuck Yeager, a young American pilot, decided he's gonna get in his plane and fly 42,000 feet high because he was not a quitter. And he got into his plane and he started going up to that speed, and you could imagine his plane started shaking uncontrollably. And on top of that, the day before, it was said that this guy decided to go on a horseback ride and he broke both of his ribs. So there's two things here. He was in a fast plane and he was in pain.
At Mach 0.965, all of his controls went haywire. At Mach 0.995, he really thought he was gonna die. His vision blurred, his stomach was in his head, and just when the plane was about to disintegrate, he heard a large crack. And all of a sudden, everything smoothed out. The air went from the front of the plane to the back of the plane, and all of the sound waves were as smooth as glass. He had broken Mach 1. He had broken the unbreakable barrier. I mean, can you imagine if he would have quit?
Let's set the scene in the Old Testament. At the time, Israel wasn't in control of their own destiny. Really not at all. Canaan was actually in control of them, a nation. Now, Barak, who was kind of the director or the commander of the Israelite army, God called him to take 10,000 troops and to go against Canaan to ultimately defeat them and have their own freedom. Now, Barak was a little nervous at this point, and he goes to the prophetess, which is kind of like the pastor, Deborah, and to Deborah he says this: "If you go with me, I will go, but if you don't go with me, I won't go." This is from Judges 4:8. If you can't tell, Barak came almost with some stipulations on if he was going to be obedient or not. He came with some hesitancy.
Now, Barak should have been the one to defeat Sisera because he was Israel's general, but his obedience came with stipulations. Well, sometimes delayed obedience is actually disobedience. Too many times we sit and we wait and we question. We wonder, God, did you really ask me to do this? Or we wait for our friends to want to follow God too. We wait to jump into a group until our friends want to jump into a group. We wait to take the next step of baptism until our friends want to also. We wait to serve our community until our friends are ready to serve their community too. But if we hesitate, we can miss God's best for our lives. And I've often thought about how many blessings and victories that you and I have missed out on because we didn't follow God right away because we hesitated.
At this time, women weren't really at all supposed to be warriors. Women warriors were really not a thing at all. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at outward appearances, but the Lord looks at the heart. Anyone's ability is not about their stature or how awesome or powerful they are. It's about their willingness to simply be obedient to what God has for them to do.
Sisera, meanwhile, fled on foot to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. because there was an alliance between the Jabin, king of Hazor, and the family of Heber the Kenite. Jael went out to meet Sisera and said to him, "Come, my lord, come right in. Don't be afraid." So he entered her tent, and she covered him with a blanket. "I'm thirsty," he said. "Please, give me some water." She opened the skin of milk and gave him a drink and covered him up. "Stand in the doorway of the tent," he told her. "If someone comes by and asks you, 'Is anyone in there?' say, 'No.'" But Jael, Heber's wife, picked up a tent peg and a hammer and went quietly to him while he lay fast asleep. Exhausted, she drove the peg through his temple into the ground, and he died. And just then Barak came by in pursuit of Sisera, and Jael went out to meet him. "Come," she said, "I will show you the man you are looking for." So he went in with her, and there lay Sisera with the tent peg through his temple, dead. On that day, God subdued Jabin, king of Canaan, before the Israelites. And the hand of the Israelites pressed harder and harder against Jabin, king of Canaan, until they destroyed him.
What an absolute savage moment. I mean, the things that were probably going through Jael's head, I mean, this was a big deal. And what's kind of crazy is if you contrast her story, her testimony of what she ultimately did comparatively to Barak, you could see a pretty big difference. Barak was hesitant. He had some stipulations to his agreement on being obedient to God. But Jael, she had a bias towards action. She was willing more to act on whatever she was looking for. She didn't really look at the barrier. She looked at the opportunity on the other side. The lesson of this whole entire thing, be more like Jael and less like Barak.
Here's the awesome truth about this savage story. Comparison will crush your ability to be obedient. We so often will just easily say, "God, this person can do it better than I can. God, that person's more equipped than I am to do it." And I'm sure that Jael was feeling the exact same way. She's going, "Man, Sisera, Barak, all these people have way better abilities than I do." That doesn't escape the fact that we still got to be obedient.
How many times have you allowed comparison to trap you and to keep you out of God's best will for your life? Well, I want to challenge you to something. I want to challenge you to be savage, to allow God to be your strength, to step into the obedience that He has asked from you in order to have His very best. Because He has something unique for you to do. It's a mission that is only for you. And I want you to be everything that God has meant you to be. So don't let comparison derail you.
Your ability to not only be someone who is obedient, but someone who says, it doesn't really matter about my strengths or my gifts or how great I can speak, even my gender like we just read, but all that matters is my obedience to God. If you have that mindset, God's gonna be able to use you in mighty, crazy ways. And not only just for you to be transformed, but if you have that mindset that it's not about your ability, but about your obedience, you're able to transform other people's lives as well. You could actually transform your whole entire generation in that way. I mean, what if we all had this mindset that it doesn't matter about how much our gifts look at or how good our gifts are or what our exterior looks like, but about our simple ability to say yes to what God has for us. I mean, imagine a generation that has that mindset. We could totally change the world.
So today, we surrender our fears. We surrender our doubt. And we choose to take hold of what Christ has given us, the victory that He has given us when we are obedient.
I've lived my life to the limit. I'm at the end of myself. I see the edge, but I know below me your love is waiting to catch. I'm falling into you, 'cause no one's gonna love me like you do. Alright, I've got nothing to lose, so I can't stop, won't stop falling into you. Alright, alright. The rush I felt in the free fall, 'cause I lost control of
guys so much for tuning into our service. Don't forget that we are now meeting in person as well as online. So if you're interested in coming to one of our high school pop-ups, you can come every Wednesday in between the East and West Auditorium from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. So hope to see you in person.